Band-Aid breath.
It's the Solo One, Sci-Fi podcast.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Are we at the big number now? Oh, right. Can I have a drum roll?
It's in the background if I remember. Yeah, it'll be there. Cool.
Fireworks?
Yeah, I'll do that as well.
All right, okay, right. Hello and welcome to 150 episodes of the Insane Podcast. The world of science fiction, the world of the paranormal, the world of I don't know, but we're here and we've been here since pre-pandemic. And we survived that and we've survived other things. And in my far corner is my co-host, Godblood, who has an amazing channel, Michael Ball, and I'm by the gods of science fiction, and I cover obscure shit. So there you go, welcome to this week's podcast.
Hello, matey. I stayed very quiet because I always hate interrupting you when you give me a big announcement. Thank you. Yes, 150 episodes.
Yes.
And we started this, I think it was November 2019. It was just before it all started coming down. And so it's quite interesting that in the time, and the world has changed a lot since we first started talking about this stuff. And yeah, we're still here. We've really enjoyed talking about all these different films. We've been doing more films recently because we have covered a lot of TV shows. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. And we were talking just before we hit record about some shows coming up. We're looking forward to Ahsoka in August, Foundation Season 2, which we believe will be out in at least the next month or so. And I've started watching this weird show which is on Apple called Hello Tomorrow, which I'd like Martin to have a look at. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but it's a very strange series which involves, it's like it was made in the 1950s and it was their interpretation of the future from that perspective. So you've got like these 1950s vehicles, but they hover and you have these really weird kind of robots. It's a very odd show. Is it
like the Jetsons? Sort of.
It has that vibe to a degree, but it's not a comedy. Right. And it's about this sort of guy who's a salesman, and they sell like housing allotments and homes on the moon. And up to episode 2, he's got this sort of young apprentice who's very sort of naive, and they're knocking on doors, trying to sell this stuff, and that's as far as I've got. I can't quite. It's a very old show.
Have they got like the 1950s Brill Cream haircuts and stuff?
Yeah. I know about Brill Cream. They've got the very 1950s fashions, 1950s music. It looks 1950s, but updated from the 1950s perspective.
Like the diner and all that.
Yeah, but you've got hover cars. You've got hover cars. And in the diner, you'll have a robot serving like beer and
yeah, because they envisioned all this in 50. They had
that's what
view
they're
of
going
science
for.
fiction, didn't they?
That's what they're going for, but it's very odd, but it's it's unique. I think that you might like. So Martin and I are going to check this out. I think Martin's going to check it out.
I'm up for that. I'm up for that.
It's only 10 episodes, and each episode's half an hour long. So
I'm going to say this now. They don't have the Gee Whiz Kid in it, do they?
They do have
the Gee Whiz Kid.
There's one who's not a kid. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, he's not a kid.
Wow, holy moly, gee whiz! You know, it's one of that where there's aliens. He's going, gee whiz, boss! You know, one of them.
They've got one who's like in his late teens, and he's like this apprentice. He's not he's a bit like a Gee Whiz Kid, but a bit older. He's a bit dorky, and he's a bit. But it's a very unusual show.
Okay,
it's very hard, but it's.
You've now got me hopes I'm fascinated.
Yeah, I'm very. Go on.
Is it different?
Yeah, it's just unique so far. I can't quite put it into a category of exactly what it is. It's not quite. It's obviously science fiction because it has space, updated, futuristic things from an old perspective. It's very odd. I can't explain it, but I quite like it, even though it's odd. Okay. I don't know. It's unique. Okay. So. Like I said,
that's what we're here for, to discuss all forms of science fiction. So
that was co-host who used to be with us, Tom Julian. He's the one that sort of made it apparent to me. I don't know. I think he put something on Facebook, and I don't know whether he checked it out, but that's how it came to my attention. Nobody's heard of it, so and you've not heard of it, and I hadn't heard of it until So yeah, we'll let you know. So we might give it a review.
Daenerys, I thought at first you were on about somebody I knew once said this film called Asteroid City. It seems quite similar. It's out now. It's meant to be
All right.
like
Okay.
this jetpacks and moon cars and
Yeah, it's like that. Maybe it's got that sort of reference or something. I don't know. I've not heard that one. But
I've not seen Asteroid City. I don't know what this was another one that just got under the radar. It just appeared. So
it reminds me of the episode of WandaVision, the first couple of episodes when they're in the 1950s. And then it was that weird, but obviously they had a laugh track, but it was a weird kind of 1950s perspective, although it's made contemporary. It's weird. I can't explain it, but it's worth it.
I wonder, just as talking about this, did you ever watch a series years ago called Erie, Indiana?
I know of it. I never saw it.
Right, set in the town that were like sort of like the 50s, but weird things were happening.
It reminds me of Pleasantville as well. Pleasantville.
Yeah. Well,
but that was slightly different, but it had that vibe as well, kind of thing.
Erie, Indiana's one worth covering. It's weird. They only did a couple of seasons. I think each episode but half an hour as well. Or...
Wasn't there a film with John Travolta or something? With something where it was a 1950s town, but it was actually a Russian. It was a Russian town or something, but they made it look like the 1950s, and it wasn't the 1950s. I don't know, something I vaguely remember. I think it was John. Maybe it wasn't John.
Well, I watched it with Brendan Fraser. I don't know what. I watched it, and with him and his family in the 50s, they built a bunker.
There's so many films, though, isn't there?
Well, no, it's hilarious because him and his family, that he's a kid. They go live in bunker, and they come out in 1990s. They sent son out because they've run out of they're still in bunker. They live in like 1950s. And he comes out into like it's like front room, floor opens up, and he comes up on a lift.
I love that. I love the idea.
Yeah. I don't know. I forgot what it's called. Brendan Fraser.
No, I've not seen that one. Like I said, it's another one to review. I mean, this week we're going to be reviewing a film that Martin told me about called The Monster Squad.
Yeah, I really wanted you to see it.
And I have seen it, and I will give you my perspective of that. But before we go into that, obviously the focus of the week, not a lot of sci-fi news. We've seen now the first 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds Season 3. Martin has already reviewed it on his channel, so check it out if you want an in-depth perspective. I think he did episodes 2 and 3 together. So obviously for the podcast here, tell me what you thought about episode 3, because you talked about episode 2 last week.
Well, I forgot to review. I thought I'd done episode 2. I didn't realise I thought I'd done it, and then I realised I thought.
Well, it's probably because you talked with me on the show. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think that was probably it. And I thought, I've done number 2. Well, there wasn't much to report on number 2, was there?
It was all right. I mean, we talked about it last week. It was, we agreed that it needed a B plot, and it didn't have a B plot.
Yeah,
it needed something. Yeah.
I
know you did.
Yeah, I did say you mentioned that.
Yes,
and
thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I did need that.
It did.
Yeah.
And I watched number 3. Now, my friend said to me, he said, "Where's Captain Pike?"
He's not been around much in season 2 so far, has he?
And we saw him sat on a chair, going like, "Why are you dressed like that?" That was it.
I know he's in episode 4. I've seen the trailer for episode 4. He's definitely in the next episode. I
have the theory.
Go on.
I've been waiting to put this towards you, but the episode first. Obviously, I see it as you might not agree, but it's the sequel to Enterprise. Is this episode?
Sequel to the Temporal Agents, you mean?
Yeah. This is one of the moments in the Temporal War.
Well, actually, it reminds me more of the relativity temporal incursions in Voyager. Now, you remember that episode with the Captain Braxton and everything?
Yes.
Now, if you know this, but there was a scene where you see a futuristic tricorder, and there's the futuristic LCARS on the display was exactly the same as on the relativity in the Voyager episode.
Oh, you're good, Joe.
It is actually. But that also might be linked with the temporal.
Yeah, but they're the same people.
It wasn't directly linked, but it was a reference. But it was directly. They used the LCARS from the relativity ship, which we saw in Voyager. So that was wonderful. It really was. A continuation of that.
So really, the temporal wars played out in Voyager.
I never thought about it as being linked. It must be.
I think it is, because that's the same agency. I'm also going to say it did play out in The Next Generation as well.
What episode?
Yeah, there were two, when Picard went on holiday and he met Vash.
Oh!
There were two aliens from the 27th, 26th century. They were after some ancient weapon.
And they had that weird.
Power.
They had this weird. Yes, that's right. And it was something from the future, and they said in the future that it was destroyed by Picard. Yeah, I know the episode. Captain's Holiday was the episode.
Yeah, so if you think about it,
they're all linked together. It's a link.
Played out right across the.
It's a bit like
spectrum.
Section 31 over the centuries, where it's a organised entity. Whereas Section 31 is to stop threats to Starfleet in the background, this is to stop temporal incursions in the background. That's how it works out.
Yeah. Now the question I put to you is, when that bridge blew up, that global bridge, and they had the photonic casing of the device that blew it up, the people that took it, were they extraterrestrials or human? Because the Romulan agent...
I thought it was something to do with Romulans, but I can't remember.
No, because she was trying to get inside that installation, the Khan Noonien Sung Institute.
Yeah.
I saw the name, and so I thought if they were taking like the photon casing from the device that destroyed the bridge, are they another faction?
It could be. We had different factions.
But then again, there's Project Ticker. It's a project. I forgot what it's
Project
called.
Calm?
No. There were a name project. It was named after a plant.
Okay.
And that's what Khan's. I'll have to Wikipedia. But is it canon? We don't. It was in the free.
Yeah,
books.
but we have to address this. They've said
it does
now.
Need addressing.
But
that's
there's
why
also,
I'm asking you.
Yeah, but the other thing is, which is really a big change, is that Khan was supposed to go into power in the early 1990s.
Yeah, he was.
And now,
when Voyager went at 90, he should have been running.
But he wasn't there then either. He wasn't there then either. So
no.
it is a bit of a retcon. Obviously, they've done that because Khan. We've gone past 1996. We've not had eugenics wars.
Yeah, way past. Yeah.
What they've said is that because of this temporal incursions and temporal agencies and all this stuff, that it's now still had to happen. But from what I gathered, it's now been put right back to something like the mid-21st century, and the eugenics wars also led to the Third World War. It's changed.
They've tried to be clever with eugenics war. In the original episode, he was an actual conqueror, but it's now come out. He does take over, but obviously goes through the political path.
But he must be a different person. He has to be a different person. He's born in like the early 21st century. He's about 8 or something, like 10 in 2023. How come he's not?
But he must become like when he goes to India. He must become like he gets on the political path, because the other Supermen, they're not dominant. They're all running stuff through corporations and because they're disrupting the political process around the world. Like the power in the background, do you know what I mean?
But then
that's how they're trying to set it now.
But then also, doesn't that mean then that Khan now didn't go on the Botany Bay and get found in the 21st century?
It does. Now in the 3 books which I read years ago, when he got defeated, it was Gary Seven, because Gary Seven wanted him to take over from him. You know Gary Seven?
Oh yeah, the one that got the.
And the Americans had got hold of some kind. The spaceship, re-engineered it, and that was the DY class sleeper ship.
Oh, okay.
And it was like
they had to do it. They had to obviously alter it because, it obviously when the episode was made in 1966, and of course they set that as the eugenics wars to be in 1996.
Well, time and certain parts of history have been changed. But when Gary Seven, he saves Khan because Khan's going to destroy the ozone line, kill everybody out of spite. And Gary Seven takes him and his followers when the world's rising up against him. He takes him to Area 51 to close it down, and he puts them on that ship and they get away. That's how they do it. That's in the book. Now, whether that's canon, I don't know. As of this week, it was altered.
Yeah, but
But
some fans are upset that it's been altered now because, like you said, Voyager already dismissed it in 1996 when they went back in time.
well, I watched that.
I,
Thought,
I, I
well,
don't I
there's
don't
no
mind it.
mention.
I'm not that bothered
No,
about it.
but it still plays out the same because don't forget he don't meet Kirk for another 300
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
obviously it's
he,
technically he's a different Khan though, isn't he? Because he was born at a later date.
that is a good question. That is a good question. Unless we're watching a variant spin-off universe, I don't know.
Yeah, which will some people say that Discovery and Strange New Worlds, because it looks more modern than the Cage in TOS,
Yeah,
it's an
yeah,
alternate universe.
and then you've got the Kelvin verse, haven't you?
Well, yeah, and also Khan was in that universe as well.
Well, he was.
So, you know, it's
I don't know, but it still plays out where Kirk
I don't mind.
finds
I
him.
don't mind. I don't mind.
It can still play out where Kirk finds him in the future.
Yeah, it could, but technically it would be a different Khan. That's what I'm saying.
But they'll be reading a different history.
Yeah, it'd be a different
Slightly.
history, and obviously Khan must have been conceived. It must be a different Khan.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, another superhuman which was
Yeah.
born at a different time.
Now the other thing about this episode. Now I like the guy that plays Kirk. I think
He's growing
quite
on
good.
me. He's growing on me.
He grew on me a lot in this, and I thought she's very good as well.
Well,
I like.
Yeah, I
there were
like-
scenes in it I really like. I like the scene where he's on the sofa and she comes in and, you know. But then there was the thing with him playing chess and then suddenly they're getting enough money for that apartment in one day.
Yeah, how did they get the money? I can't
It
remember.
was a rather nice apartment, that wasn't it?
Oh, excuse me. Yes, it was, and I like the actress who plays La'an. I think she's really growing on me. I do like this series.
Yeah, I know, but
really
there was
think
that,
it's very good.
it never got explained. How could they get that apartment?
Yeah, there was something. They got money somehow.
Well, he played chess.
That's right. It was chess. It was chess, but because he's used to.
Three-dimensional,
I've got sneezing. I've got hay fever. Sorry, I'm sneezing.
three-dimensional chess. Yeah,
And he's playing two-dimensional, which apparently is much easier. Also.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just go with it. You know,
Well, all right. He got the flat. Maybe it were an Airbnb and he had a lot of cash and he paid for it. So that's almost acceptable. So let's go with that. But it was a good episode. I was gutted when she killed him.
Yeah.
Said,
But that was a different timeline. It was it United Space Agency or something? It was the name of
United Space Probe Agency.
yeah,
I
which
think.
was which was the
mentioned with that Air Force pilot. wasn't
But
it?
Esper, I think it was called. That was referred to in the very very early episodes of the original Star Trek. So they refer back to that, which I thought was a clever link in with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would like to have seen perhaps one thing that I know it sounds. I'm a ship guy. I would like to have seen a slightly different Enterprise exterior shot of this alternate timeline where it looks slightly different or something. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Just a shot of flyby and it had like 3 nacelles or it just looked different. And it needed a few more exterior shots, I think. But on the whole, I thought it was pretty solid. Yeah, I like.
Well, I mean, in this one episode, I worked out you could get 3 variant spin-offs from it.
So what would the spin-offs be then?
Right, the first spin-off, I did sort of mention this, and this is what I wanted to ask you. That, do you think they could? My theory is that Pike plays out the 3 seasons in Strange New Worlds. He gets what happens to him, so we get an extra couple of seasons where it's the first 2 years of the 5-year mission.
Right. Oh, okay.
That guy that plays Kurt, they bring him in after Pike's accident because he's the next captain after Pike.
I'm still getting.
There was potential for a spin-off there.
I'm getting worried that we're not going to get any more shows. I'm starting to really worry about it. But kind of what your other ideas?
Could you accept a spin-off with this new guy, the early days of the 5-year mission?
Yeah. I mean, he's older than the original Kirk. He's in his 40s. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's older than.
Okay.
So, it was a bit like the guy that was in Picard's son, who was a bit older than he really was in the character.
Yes.
I could live with it. Like I said, I mean, I'm new to this guy, but I'm open to it.
I'd find it interesting. Like they were testing waters. It was sneaky, but they were doing it. The other spin-off, there's been rumours for years, and I know that. What is it? What do they call him? That awful guy who created Discovery. I forgot his name.
Alex Kurtzman.
Him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't mention that name on this channel.
As soon as she's mentioned the awful guy, then like Alex Kurtz. Oh yes, him. Yeah, go on. No thought. Just like screw it. Like that's it. You know, just got this vision of him going.
On the serious note, he said he's always wanted to do a Khan spin-off, like about how he rises to power, him and the augments, and a lot of the fan base. So I'd love to see that, like a mini series.
Yeah, but I was going to say it might work as a mini series or like even like a TV movie or something.
Oh yeah,
I don't think it'll work for a long-term series, but a mini series.
I think you could get a 10. I think you could get a 10-episode season.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I can see that.
About his rise to power and then the ascension downwards.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Or the mini series. I thought that was in there. Could have set it up, and then there's the other thing. Like, this is where you sort of get the Gary Severn stuff in. Who were the people? That Romulan woman said that there was other people on Earth. Her mission, because humanity should have been further ahead than what it was. She said that. She said because of all fighting and politics and all that there is a force on Earth at that time that's interfering. Who were them?
Now this could
it might not be the Temporal War people. It could be somebody else. That's something that could be explored. This could go
back to early Star Trek books where there was a Star Trek chronology, I think it was called. I remember seeing years and years ago.
I used to have that.
And it had literally from 1966 all the way up, like the first missions to Mars and everything. And of course, in that chronology and in early Trek, it was believed that we would go to the stars sooner than we are in our current reality. So it could be that it fits in that everything's been put back for something that's been meddling and put stuff back. It was a bit like the character Henry Starling in Voyager, Chrono Works, where there was a reference to the fact that the computerized age was
down to him.
Yeah, and it was because of the technology he found from the future. There's all these different elements out there which can put. I couldn't really answer because there's so many different factions now. But it is interesting to look at that.
But who are the people that are holding humanity back? They're there.
There could be something which has just not been addressed. I mean, obviously the Romulans in this episode did want to stop the Federation from forming later on, but it might not necessarily have been them. You know, in this, it might be something we're not aware of.
Was she a Romulan from Picard's time?
It didn't say when, where she came from.
She was from around about his time.
But
she'd been on Earth for 30 years, trapped there.
But she was in the shot of the ship that she was in a very early Romulan bird of prey from TOS era. There was one shot we saw it as a UFO, and it was a Romulan bird of prey from the 1960s, which was set in the 2260s. So whether she was from the 23rd century, it wasn't specified.
The Romulans didn't have time travel capability then. They didn't even believe it existed.
That was Vulcans. Vulcans didn't believe it existed.
No, maybe. Well, maybe
it was Vulcans, not Romulans.
A very crude form of it and kept it secret.
Yeah, Vulcans are the ones that denied time travel. Romulans at that point, they didn't know that the Vulcans didn't know the Romulans were.
It might have been a one-way trip for her then. She couldn't go back.
It's something we're never going to find. They might ask the question in the future.
I like the thing where she vaporized her body when she got shot.
Yeah, as a way of
very invaders. I found that very, and that's what I liked
that.
About it. That there's this thing
it had
going
an invaders
on.
Vibe about it. It did have an invaders
It did,
vibe
and that's what I loved about that. They're there. There's another force there. I mean, they're not there. They're just holding humanity back for a reason, and obviously it's got something to do with the future. You know.
Anyway, it was a great episode.
What are you going to give it?
I think I'll get 8 out of 10. I liked it. I will give it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go for an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it was definitely good. It was solid.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once. I've not seen it again yet. But I will give it another watch. But yeah, it was solid. I enjoyed it.
It's been the best one so far.
I preferred episode 1 for some reason. I just liked the first episode, but I like this one a lot. The court one is the least favourite of the 3 so far. So
that should have been episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, I agree.
Too soon. Later in the season.
But they had the Una. They had the storyline carried over from the end of season 1, which is why they had to address it earlier on.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that bothered about that, quite frankly. I don't really know the character that well. But Yeah. I'm still dubious about Star Trek's future. I still think it's in trouble. Paramount now, they're selling off Prodigy, which we talked about last week. Apparently, they're in a bad financial state. Oh, did you hear from Trek? He said that it's pretty much definite now that Seth MacFarlane is not going to be making a season 4 of The Orville. It's looking very unlikely now. Have you heard about that?
No, tell me more.
Well, he's in the know with people, and he's looked at what Seth MacFarlane's doing, and he's not always right, but he often has a good clue about things, and he's
Yeah, he
saying
does.
that,
I listen. Yeah, I agree. He does.
and he
yeah.
thinks that it's pretty much guaranteed that we're not going to get a 4th season of The Orville. So how do you feel about that, if that's the truth?
I'm pretty gutted, to be honest. I think I would have liked to have seen that go at least 5 seasons.
Yeah, I do too. And
it's such a shame. The potential where that could have gone as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very solid series. I do think of it as like a Star Trek, but just not in name, especially in.
Yeah,
But it did
the
change. It did change, though.
Yeah. I mean, the first season is just hilarious, isn't it? And
But
then
it became more of a drama. It really shifted from comedy to drama.
Well, maybe that's how he planned it. That was the hook.
It's a transitional thing. I reckon that's partly why he did it. Make it look like a comedy and like a spoof. But maybe long-term planning, he was thinking of making it so he wanted it as a Star Trek series because he always wanted to make a Star Trek series. And in the end, season 3 was like a Star Trek series, but no Starfleet. There was just the Union and everything else. So,
yeah. I mean, he did cover most of the loose ends up in it as well.
Yeah, it was pretty wrapped up. It was pretty. I mean, if this is it, then we've got a pretty good series.
Yeah, and also the other good thing, he's just created the first foundation stone. Maybe in a few years' time, they might think,
it could get.
We could make a spin-off about another ship and another crew
in the Union or something. Yeah,
in the Union. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope so.
I think that the concept of the Orville will come round again at some point. I really do. I do. It maybe he might go back to it in a couple of years, do a couple of seasons. It's set a few. Or he might go to the cinema with it. I think it'd be a hit, but he'd have to get it right. But yeah, I agree. It did change to a drama.
Anyway, I just hope it's. Like I said, it's just such a shame because it's like egotistic fun time, and people like that on YouTube who've reviewed it and they really follow
fans,
it. Yeah. So and I'll always be a fan of this series. I consider it one of the best contemporary sci-fi shows I've seen in recent years.
It's come out this decade, definitely.
Yeah,
so far, apart from The Expanse, but
and The Expanse is another way I've wrote about that. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it for news, unless there's anything else you're into.
Oh, I did say I'd seen Indiana Jones.
So no spoilers. What do you think of it?
Well, it's like I said to you before the podcast. Like if you were in with your family Sunday night and you got pizza. And you all sat round in the front room watching it on the telly, and you think, well, and after the film you'd be like, well, it was all right, a bit of mindless dribble, but it was okay.
It wasn't even meaningful. It wasn't.
No, it's not like when like 20, 30 years later, you still talk about the first one. You still watch it.
Yeah.
Because you get that build-up of the supernatural and all that. This lacks a lot of that. Do you know what I mean?
We need to review the first one at some point. We've never done that. I'd like to
we should do the all of them.
We'll do it. We've still got to do all the Terminators, but we've still got so many films to review eventually. So
well, just add it to the list.
Yeah.
And it was all right. The first 20 minutes, they de-aged him quite well. Apparently, they used AI to de-age him. What they did?
Is it like deep fake?
It's I think I'd say, from what I saw, it looked like very good. What they did was, they used an AI, and they went over the original movies and all the Star Wars movies he was in, and then used his actual image from that time.
So this is a new thing? This is different from deep fake?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like what they did with Luke Skywalker. This is
Book of Boba Fett.
It's a new form of technology. They take your old image and loads of it and put it on, lay it on top
collate it and then work it out and morph it onto
and I have to say, I mean, it had its flaws every now, but first 20 minutes are the best because he's like in his 30s and
in his prime kind of thing.
It was sad.
Was it?
But a character like that, you're not going to think he's going to end up where he is.
So do you wish they hadn't
1969.
made it? Do you think that it's a shame that they made it?
I think it should have been left at number 4.
That's what I was wondering. Like, sometimes things like that can damage it.
It's all right in parts. I mean, it's watchable. Do you know what I mean? But that's it. You're not going to go. You'd watch this once, possibly might watch it 3 years later if you catch it on something. But you're not going to go. I'm not going to play it. You know. So it's a shame, really, for such an iconic character. We all.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get all like political about it. It wasn't bad. I mean, some people really enjoyed it, and that's their choice. But I just think there were a lot missing what they could have done.
I've heard it's not doing too well in the box office.
Flops apparently.
Yeah, I heard that.
Another one this year.
Yeah. I can't think of hardly anything. Nothing that's been really big this year. I mean, they've got a Barbie bloody movie coming out soon. That bloody huge.
Yeah, a friend of mine wants to go. A friend of mine she's
Stop
off
that.
to go see that. She's right excited about it.
What? God,
She told me over there, she said, I'm going to see the Barbie movie.
No, not watching that shit. I'm not watching that crap. Jesus Christ.
But the big hit this year, they reckon it's going to be Mission Impossible.
Oh, no, I need to see all the Mission Impossible movies, actually.
Do you know, I'm going to say this. I'm such a big fan of the 60s TV series.
Yes.
Honestly, I think it's just how cold and rough.
But what do you think of the Tom Cruise movies?
They're very good.
Okay.
They're very good. He's took that franchise and he's done his own thing with it.
Yeah.
And it's grown into.
I'm going to watch those over the summer. I'm going to watch them over the summer.
Give them a look.
Yeah, I will.
The first one is a masterpiece.
Is it?
Yeah, it is of how the conspiracy's set up.
Right.
I don't want to. And the other ones, they're all like super action fests. Fair enough.
Yeah, I quite like it.
But the great writing. Tom Cruise is super.
I like Tom. I do like Tom Cruise actually.
Honestly, I think I even am tempted to go see that this week.
Okay, all right. Is that coming out very soon then? Is it?
This week.
This week. Oh wow. Okay. Well, let me know. Let me know.
Hang on. No, we're on 5th. Yeah, I think 10th. It's out on 10th. Yeah.
All right, mate. Okay, well, check it out. Okay.
But give the first one a go.
Yeah, I will. I'll give it, and we could even review it at some point as well.
I'd like to review the TV series at some point as well.
I need to see some. I mean, I would only give.
Whenever.
Just
add it to the list.
I like Blake Seven and all these sort of shows. There's some shows I want to review, but I need to see them all, and I haven't got the time. But over the summer holiday, I definitely want to watch a bit of TV. So on that note, let's go into our focus of the week, and this is a film that Martin has recommended I go and check out. So here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
focus of the week.
Okay, so we're back, and this is a film which my co-host said, you've got to see this, and I saw it, and it is a film called The Monster Squad. It is from 1987, 80s movies. I always love 80s movies. And it says
that's why I suggested it.
It says it's an American horror comedy film directed by Fred Decker, written by Decker and Shane Black. They had met as classmates at the UCLA. Peter Hymas and Rob Cohen served as executive producers. It was released by TriStar Pictures in August 14th, 1987. And the film features a panache of universal monsters led by Count Dracula, confronted by a group of savvy kids out to keep them from controlling the world while being financially unsuccessful during its theatrical run. It received mixed reviews from critics. The film has gained a positive reception from audiences and has become a cult classic in the years since its release. So, okay, Martin, tell me how you found out and checked out The Monster Squad.
I went to cinema. I think I was about 18. I went to Odeon, and you know when they used to have posters up like the films coming. You know.
Yeah.
You remember the released in December, and it was 3-4 months, but they had these.
You get this idea, yeah, that's right.
Well, they had this poster, Monster Squad, and I looked at it, I thought, well, that looks interesting. You know, because I saw like the poster with Dracula and all that. I thought of these kids, they were like, and I thought that's a bit of a weird thing. Anyway, when time come right, it never turned up at Odeon.
Oh, you're joking? After all that, you didn't get to see
Never
it
turned
then?
up. I don't think it got released in this country. If it did, it was very
I
rare.
wasn't aware of it. Until you told me about this
No.
movie, I'd never heard of it.
It is one of them
I've
films
never heard of
like I think when it come out, I don't think people sort of quite.
It was a bit
got it.
like reminds me of The Hidden. I hadn't heard of that either,
Yeah.
and I love
And-
that.
And it just vanished. It just never got there. I kept checking paper and popping to audio, and the poster had gone, and that was it. And then one night, you remember Barry Norman?
Barry Norman, film 89 or whatever it is.
He showed a clip of it, and it was the kid kicking the werewolf in the
In the goo, yeah.
in
You
the
thought,
naps,
yeah.
And that was it. And that I didn't hear of it, and it was about a year had gone past. And I saw the same poster in my local video library. It pops up, so I ordered it because you had any new films. You had to.
You can order it, yeah.
So I ordered it and I got it, and I kept it an extra day. I paid fine. I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah.
I watched it. I kept it an extra day. The phone me up, so can you bring the film back? I said, oh yeah, I will tomorrow. And I paid fine. I didn't care. I watched it about 4 times, and
Yeah, it's funny
I
with certain
just
films,
thought
isn't it?
there was something about this film. It had the feeling of like the Goonies, Back to the Future.
The Goonies is the one I thought of as soon as I saw it. I was thinking of the Goonies.
Back to the Future. That sort of My Science Project, Weird Science.
Weird Science, another one, yeah.
All them films that came out with that. The kids, teenagers, angst versus something weird. And this film, even the parents were cool in it. His dad, I remember Fred, his dad, you wouldn't want to meet him down there because that dad of his, he was like a warrior all the way through film. And the scenes of Dracula, the actor that played Dracula,
Duncan Rager, who
I
of course, I remember him from V. He played Charles on V. He also played Charles on V.
Was that him?
Of course it was him. And he also played...
I didn't realise that was Charles. He was in Babylon 5 as well.
And he was in Deep Space Nine. He was the Bajoran. Oh God, what was his name? And he was the one that was involved with Kira for a while.
And Next Generation as the ghost.
Yes, he was the of the candle ghost. Yeah.
I
like that actor. Yeah, he was Charles. I know him based from Charles from B.
He's English, isn't he?
Yes, he's English.
Yeah, fantastic voice.
I like him.
Yeah, his voice has always stood out for me when he's been in stuff. He's like a supporting actor. He's been in lots of stuff. And when he did that film, I think he played the best Dracula I've ever seen. I'll probably get shot down for that, but I did. He showed you what Dracula could do unleashed. The power of the being. None of this stood on the steps staring at people. He was just a killing machine.
On with it. He was just sort of getting on with it.
I mean, and I was watching the film. You got the standard fat kid being picked on Horace, and then you got the reject kid on the bike, the cool kid.
Yeah. And I thought he was a bit too. I'm surprised he hung around them. He struck me as a bit too cool to be with them. Actually.
Well, I think he was a bit of a bad boy. I think he was like a bit of a reject at school, but nobody'd go near him.
Well, that's why he hung around with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he got involved and he stuck up for them. And that was him from early years. He was in a lot of stuff. Were bullying him.
Yeah.
And then there was sister when she was getting undressed and they were all watching her.
There's so many 80s movies like that. It's like
just everything in this film.
Fast Time. Is it Fast Time at Richmond High or something like that? There was a film like that.
So, yeah.
And then there was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. As no one reminds me of that. Or sort of like college/school teenagers in the 80s and. License to Drive was another one.
And
that kind of vibe.
And the place where they lived, it was the same scene as The Burbs, which is one of my all-time favourites.
Is it?
Yeah, I love The Burbs.
That's what it said. The Burbs.
No, The Burbs.
I love The Burbs.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
You know what? Technically, we could review that because no, it's not sci-fi, is it?
Oh yeah, it is. I reviewed fucking Convoy this week.
I know you did. I love Convoy.
Yeah, I love Convoy.
I didn't know you like that sort
absolute of wank, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. Rubber ducky.
Rubber ducky, yeah. Rubber ducky. Yeah, but this film, right, it's got all these bits in it And then you bring in the universal monsters.
What, the mummy, and then you got the swamp creature,
and
you got
creature from Black Lagoon,
and then you got Frankenstein, who's not exactly the most intelligent sort of individual you've ever seen. He reminds me of a guy who used to know, and I won't give his name out, but he was a bit like that. And you know,
well, it starts off really weird because you go back 100 years.
Yeah, and then there's this weird portal in the end where they have this. I can't remember what it's called, but it's this thing where they talk to it. A virgin has to quote this passage
to open
of dialogue,
a portal to limbo or something.
And then, and that opens up at the beginning, and it says,
and
100 years ago.
It sucks all evil in or something. But I love, you get all this like big writing, and it's coming up the screen very slowly. It looks like a traditional horror sort of film.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was glad it was set in the 80s, because I thought it was going to be like a 19th century thing. I thought, I'm really not into sort of like.
Well, that's what it gets you thinking. Then just underneath, it said the forces of light blew it, and that was it. It just said it was like totally did everything that was written before it. And you're in this town in America. One of these towns, and
like the birds, as you say, like the birds.
Yeah, my science project, bats of these little
nice they're all that sort of like have that similar vibe to them.
Yeah, and they have the same like lighting. Everything's like the same sort of thing. And when I started, it was like you're getting into it, and you get into kids' lives, and mum and dad have marital problems, and you're getting into that. And it's just awesome. And then Dracula turns up. The scene I love is when he turns up at the kid's house, and mother's just stood at guards staring at him, and he just blows that. He says, "What are it? Meeting adjourned." And the scene with the police as well. I mean, it must be 20 police officers, kills a lot of them.
That's it. The guy that played the dad, he was the guy that was the runner-up to playing Captain Picard in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes, he was. I saw him being interviewed about that
and
years ago.
He did eventually end up on DS9 as a Bajoran colonel.
Yeah.
In the beginning of season 2, and he did. I don't think he is French, but he did have. I know he can't look French, and that's not the right term, but he did have that European look about him. He looked like he could have played a French captain on Star Trek. Let's just put it that way.
Definitely, definitely.
And looked very different from Patrick Stewart, who of course was English and didn't look at all like him. I did it. Go on.
So that's my take on this film. What was your take? I mean, personally, when you started, from the moment you switched it on.
I was put off a bit at the beginning at quite a young cast, because I was never into things like The Goonies or Stand By Me.
I want the Goonies film.
And Stand By Me was another one. But luckily they didn't annoy me. The kids didn't annoy me. They were quite an interesting bunch of teenage almost pre-teenagers. As you say, they had a lot of interesting adult actors in it, which some of we already talked about. And it was a fun film. It wasn't something to be taken too seriously.
No.
It was just a fun 80s sci-fi, more fantasy kind of monster flick. I wouldn't say it was the best film in the world I've ever seen, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was very competently made. And as I say, I like the fact that you had all these recurring well-known. It reminds me a bit of The League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen, which also had a lot of characters known from monster things. Like I think that one had the guy Dorian Gray that was in that one, and it had a similar vibe to a collection of.
Yeah, but they were all evil.
They were all in it together, and that reminded me of that, which I kind of thought was good. Yeah, I thought it was a good film. I enjoyed it.
I don't think they get away. I mean, that scene where Dracula picks up a little girl and said,
because she was. He said he was going to kill her or something.
He called her a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, I thought,
because I watched.
I was surprised about that.
I watched it last year with a mate of mine, and he said he really enjoyed it, and he said you won't get away with that today, because he picks her up by her throat, like he just picks her up.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he wasn't going to kill her, but when he said "little bitch," I thought, like, and she was about 8 years old or something. She was quite young.
But it's an interesting film because Because it's not just the kids; it's the whole age range. Like you've got Al Simo over in V.
Yeah,
They all thought the scary German bloke that lived alone, and
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
a really
not for
nice
me. He
bloke.
was in the original series, yeah, and obviously Duncan Regan was
Yeah.
in the
And then
TV
you've got the dad and his partner who got blown up in
series.
car.
In the car. I was surprised about that. 'Cause I liked him as well. He was quite.
The actor that played the werewolf, I think he was in Fright Night too.
Oh, Stan Winston did the practical effects,
Right.
and I thought some of the effects of the werewolf changing were actually done pretty good.
I thought the creature from the Black Lagoon. I thought
Yeah,
that
actually, it
looked really
was. It
good.
was. That was good as well. That
It was
good as
bloody
well.
good for that. It looks authentic.
And that also makes me want to review An American Werewolf in London in the future, because that's another good film.
Yeah,
which has great
definitely.
practical effects.
Yeah, definitely.
But going back to this film, yeah. So I liked the music as well, and I liked. Yeah, it was pretty sound. I mean,
It had it all, didn't it? It took and even at the end we had the 1950s touch when the American army turned up with the general.
Yeah, and they're coming in and like guns blazing, and what's been going on here, and it's like, it's all over.
You know.
Yeah.
I just love the film for what it is. It's unique. And that film, it should have been a big hit, but when it came out on video, when it got released on video, it was massive. People were just gravitating. It would have massive. Well, they got the money back on video.
Good. They got it. Okay. That's good. Well, at least
but
they've
it's
got
such a shame. I can see why people wouldn't have sort of got it at cinema, but I think when I saw this at home, I mean, you and I probably would have got it back in the day, but like,
I wish I'd seen it. I wish I'd seen it back then.
Yeah, that should be up there. That film to me should be up there with The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where
it stands out. All right, it's the same take on a premise, but they made the story very different. There's something unique about this film. Do you know what I mean? It's like The Burbs. When I saw it, but I went to see Burbs at cinema, and it reminded me of that, because that where they lived in that cul-de-sac, that's the same cul-de-sac where they used The Burbs. They used that quite.
The Klopex was in The Burbs. That was funny in that film. I love The Burbs.
It sort of sounds it's fantasy. I mean, we should.
I mean, to be honest with you, there are some films, 80s, which are comedy stroke, have a slight sci-fi. Another film, well, technically the sequel is definitely a sci-fi, and that is Weekend at Bernie's. I love Weekend at Bernie's.
I've seen the first one.
Well, the second one, Weekend at Bernie, he actually becomes, through voodoo magic, he starts to move around and start walking about. No, he does. So the second one, Weekend at Bernie's 2, technically is science fiction. Weekend at Bernie's 1 is pure comedy.
I might give that a look, actually.
I'm
a big fan of it. We're good first one.
The second one is not as good, but it has some funny moments. I recommend Weekend at Bernie's. But going back to the 80s comedy stroke sort of like era, I love that.
Well, it's like
I
watched Weird Science over Christmas, you know.
I've not seen that for a long time. Weird Science.
I've not seen it in a good few years, and Bill Paxton and his brother. You know, the humour in it, it's just an amazing film.
Yeah.
You know, two perverted teenagers to get the perfect woman, and
and then
they think it's going to be an easy ride, and it's not. Because she's going to make them face up to who they are. You know,
I mean, there are so many 80s movies. Another one is War Games. That reminds me of that. That's another movie I quite enjoy.
I'm in and out with War Games. I'm sort of in and out with that.
Yeah.
I watched it about 2 years ago. I watched it. I mean, it was all right. What a bit. I don't know. When I first saw it, I was sort of impressed with it, but maybe because we've gone beyond that now.
What about Flight of the Navigator? That's quite a good one.
I love that film.
I knew you'd like that.
I know for years they've been, but that flopped, you know.
Oh, again, these are all. A lot of these are going on the shopping list.
And that was one of the first films that used CGI as well.
Yeah, the ship.
Yeah,
the ship was really good.
And it's a shame, you know. It's such a bloody good.
And it involved time travel as well. There was lots of good concepts in that one. But going back to this one, I thought it was good. I liked it. Like I said, I wish I'd seen it years ago. But I'm glad I saw it now. It's weird, but sometimes when I watch a film now, when it's quite an old film, it's harder to get into.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad I checked this one out. It's definitely. I'm surprised I never heard about it. I mean, you tell me about films. what I would like to do then, if I've done one of yours, 80s movies,
Yeah.
what you got to review, and I'll keep mentioning we've never done it. It's one of my all-time favourite movies. Is Miracle Mile with Denise Crosby.
Yeah, no, yeah,
And
we'll
we've got
do
to
that,
review
yeah.
that one because
Yeah.
it's not a comedy, but it's just I love it. It's one of those movies that
That's
really
fine. That's fine.
Miracle Mile. So yeah, 80s movies.
I do
they're great.
recommend another 80s movie. It went so far under radar, it's just as good as this. My Science Project.
Oh, I've not heard of that one. My Science Project.
It's absolutely spectacular.
Okay.
It's about parallel universes and other time streams, and Denny
There's so
Chopper is a hippie. But I do recommend this, My Science Project. It is on YouTube to watch. Another one that should have been, these films, they should have been like classics.
Big, yeah.
And
Some they got lost. They got under the radar. They got
lost.
Yeah, they got lost.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the partly why we do this because, you know, I mean, Martin has probably educated me a lot more about stuff than I have you because I think there's a lot of films that you seem to be more aware of that you focus with over the years. But, you know, what we like doing this show is to actually share our opinions of films which are not necessarily the big uns, the big mainstream films, because, as you say, there are some great films that actually sort of like have a great message, are well produced, well made, which you're not aware of. And this is why, you know, you should always check out Martin's channel because, you know, you have got a lot of stuff on your channel where over the years you've just discovered stuff, and it's well worth looking at. So
Well,
Martin's...
I've been uploading some stuff, and a lot of people have thanked me for it. I got a message off somebody 2 days ago, actually.
Okay.
And they said, thank you for bringing back amazing memories from... No, it's only
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I remember this. Oh, I've had the most popular one is, I'm not like beating me up, I'm not, but
no, go on.
one of the popular ones I've had, God, I remember that. I came in pissed at 2 o'clock in the morning and that was on the telly, you know, and that, I don't know, I could go and cover all the modern stuff. I could make rings and say, I don't want to do that, I want to stay in my corner, and these are like what we just talked about, more to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And any mainstream stuff, I'll cover it with you. That I don't see. It's
I'm a bit on mainstream, but I'm open to some of your stuff as well. So
no, like up to date stuff.
Yeah.
But and again, look at your channel. You love all the old classics, don't you? You know, Candid Camera. I've watched a lot of your material.
Oh, I've got some really hard to find
I will say to you what that guy said to me. You know, I remember that when I was pissed when I come in.
I love old comedy shows.
So we have got the same sort of thing.
Got the same sort of humour, I think, which is good.
Yeah,
so,
but you're like, it's like sitcoms. It's like you.
And radio pranks and stuff as well. I've always liked that.
Sometimes I think, bloody hell, I remember that when I was listening to that at work. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the guy who on Candid Camera ate a goldfish, and it was actually a bit of sliced carrot, and he wiggles it around, and I love it. I just love all that sort of stuff.
When I worked for Leeds City Council years ago, 11 o'clock, everybody stopped work.
Yeah.
And do you remember when they used to have the love story on for 20 minutes? I think the radio one DJ, they used to have that love thing and tell a story.
Oh yeah.
We'd all stop work and we'd all go quiet and listen to it. We're all men. We're all sat there having tea.
The problem is a lot of my stuff is that they don't make comedy anymore because everyone gets so offended. So what I've done is my channel is actually an archive of
that's what I say,
becoming a lost form of comedy. I don't make any money out of my channel.
Because where else are they going to say it? Where else? When
I did this, I mean, obviously I want to do the podcast as well. But one of the reasons why I did my channel, the same with you, is to immortalise some of this lost entertainment. Yours is more of these shows which are just dropped out of the radar. Mine are old comedy, whether it's radio comedy, pranks, because it's all going.
Because where else are people going to say that?
This is why I go to YouTube. No.
You can't buy it on DVD.
And
you might get some of it,
and you don't get it on TV. You get
Richard, and they're not going to stream it.
You get Philip Schofield. You get Anton Deck and stuff. I don't want to watch that shite. Thank you very much.
No, I don't.
Daytime TV.
I watched a couple of your Beatles about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I've got loads of those coming.
Yeah, I love them. Love them.
God,
the one with the UFO.
Oh, I've got. Would you like a cup of tea? I'm not uploading that one. I've got to do that one. That's hilarious. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these, you know, I've watched a couple of your business about and other stuff.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of your
But
stuff.
wait, you're not going to get it on streaming networks. Cause if you did get it, they'd cut it.
Yeah, they'll cut it and they'll get all warnings
What's
as well.
the
This
point?
might offend you. This it's like, fuck off. It's just funny for crying out loud.
You know what I mean? So all I'm doing is just finding that stuff that you can't get on video or DVD.
Me too. Yeah.
And people have uploaded it, have had it for years, even if it's about. At least it's out there to me.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Thoughts about.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Because everything has a story. Everything.
A lot of people keep saying on my channel, you know, thank you for sharing this because they don't make anything like this anymore, and it's such a shame. And I just feel very strongly about that. I just feel that going back to some stuff that you show, they would not make stuff that you show now, and you appreciate it, you enjoy it, and I enjoy it.
That's
same principle.
And it's, I mean, I watch like your stuff on your channel, and I'm laughing, and it gets on with it. They get on with being funny. All right, people are shocked, and that's, but it's funny.
Yeah, and they laugh at the end. They're actually grateful for it. You know,
that's what I mean. I think there was one with the guy where the people moved into his caravan. Remember that one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The best one is the guy, and it's the guy that thinks that he works in a mortuary. And this little old lady comes in, and her sister died. And then they actually dress her up as a ghost, and he's actually in a what's it called, coffin.
She's getting out
she
of the coffin and going
door.
into another one.
Yeah, it's so funny. And he's shaking.
His reaction to it, he's like
absolutely
like
shitting
you'd be freaking. He don't know. He's just like, what? She's dead. You know, and it's wonderful. You wouldn't do that today because there've been so many complaints about it.
I mean, I've done quite a few pranks in the years, and I used to do the thing where I used to super glue a pound coin to a paving stone and get the people to bend down to pick it up. And I love pranks. So I'm a big. Anyway, I digress. We should be focusing on the end of this movie. So, just to wrap up, then. So, what would you rate this movie out of 10? The Monster Squad. I'm
going to give it a 10 because it deserves a 10.
I'm not going to give it as high as that because I've only just seen it. I'm going to give it probably slightly lower than perhaps I should, but I'm going to give it 7.5. I liked it.
All right, that's acceptable.
But
I think your reasons are valid for 7.5.
I did think it was a solid film. I liked it. I'd like to see it again, actually. I think it's a film where it might go up once in a subsequent viewing.
Yeah, I think that's how it works because I've seen it over years.
I've only ever seen it once. If you've seen it like years and years ago, like me with Weekend at Bernie's or something. Like we watch Weekend at Bernie's for the first time now. What the hell's this shit? You know what I mean? But it's not like that. Your film's good, but I need to see it again. But I did enjoy it, and I definitely want to because you're often saying, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" And I said, "No." I'd like to review that. And
there is one movie I'd like to do. It's from the 80s. This was another one. Michael Paré.
Oh yeah.
The actor.
Who was in? He was in
Moon 44.
Wasn't Michael Paré the guy who played Herdick in the film where they go back in time and he's a naval officer? Is that Michael Paré?
It could be. He did a film called Streets of Fire. It's like a rock fable set in a parallel universe.
Okay.
And it's an old. They're all
The film I think about is the Philadelphia Experiment. I don't think it's him.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
It is him. That's him. That's the guy. Oh yes.
He did a rock fable called Streets of Fire, and it's like music, but it's all like it's set in like this alternative world of the 50s mixed in with the 80s, and it works. And all the stars that are in it are all mega stars. They're all big stars now. This is like the first outing in a lot of films.
Okay.
So I do recommend we'll have to do Streets of Fire, and it's fantasy, so we can pull it. So yeah.
And he was also in The Greatest American Hero. He was actually in the class. He was in the class in The Greatest American Hero.
Yeah.
Which I only just started watching.
He did. I don't. Have you ever seen Moon 44?
I don't think I have.
With the helicopters in outer space, they made in the 80s. Absolutely fucking terrible. He was in that. He was at cinema to see it. He's sat on this planet and
helicopters in space. Okay.
Yeah, no, they do. These helicopters take on robot space fighters in outer space. Don't ask. I mean, Malcolm McDowell's in it as well.
Oh, but he's been in some dodgy movies, Malcolm McDowell, hasn't he?
It was a dodgy movie. I'm quite surprised. But I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it, really. I watched it recently. I did review it. I watched it a couple of years ago and I thought, this is fucking awful. Back then, when it was at the cinema, everybody thought it was cool. You know, helicopters in outer space, but it doesn't really work, really, does it?
Well, like I said, I'm always up for what some stuff works.
We'll give that one a miss.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a fit focus on, but mind you, I'd like to review Malcolm McDowell in Time After Time. That's what.
Yeah, no, I'm up for that.
So I like a good time travel, and obviously it's based.
Is that the one where it's H.G. Wells at Time Machine?
Yes, and David Warner. David Warner plays Jack the Ripper, and they go back to and they go to 1970 San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that was a spin-off for the pilot for the TV series.
You see, every time I mention something, you come out with some information.
I think you are. Sure it will.
Okay. Well, like I said, now just to confirm what we're going to be doing now, we are still planning this break, although I might, I don't know whether you're free, but I still might have Sci-Fanatics might join me on Sunday morning recording time to do a quick sort of like chat about Star Trek in general. Obviously, if you're busy, that's fine. We're going to play it by ear because he wanted to do it last week, but unfortunately he wasn't too well. So he said potentially he could be available on Sunday, although we still want our break. So what I'll do is I'll give you a shout out, Martin. If you can't make it, that's fine. If you can, that's even better. And whatever happens after that, we're going to be back off. We're going to have a break until
the
25th
we're coming
July.
back the week Ahsoka's on.
No, Ahsoka's
August.
Mid-August.
Oh, I thought it were like 8th of August.
No.
Okay.
So when are we? Let's confirm. When do you want to come back after our break?
Well, I think we should come back first. Probably. What are we in now?
It's the 5th of. Well, we're recording on the 5th of July.
I think we should come back first week in August.
All right. So.
3 weeks.
Okay, so we'll be back then in the first week, so that'll probably be on the 4th of August. Let's have a proper break then. And we need a break, and we've always said this last week. So, but we might be back, or something's happening next week, hopefully with Sci-Fanatics. So, if you can't make it, we'll have a break for about 3 or 4 weeks, which is fine with me because I do a break. And we are going to be doing lots of stuff in the autumn and over the rest of the summer, but we do need a break. And Martin and I, we're not going anywhere. We
haven't stopped this since January, so we've been going every week.
Yeah, and I'm ready for a break, so that's fine. So, Martin, thank you so much for... we've done about 26, 27 episodes this year, which is a lot. Yep. We've reached one episode 150, which is massive, which is really good. At one point, we were talking about only doing 100 episodes. I've already gone halfway across double
How's
again.
the picture going?
How's the picture going? It's going good. It's going good. If I remember, actually, I might be able to. No, I won't link it now because it's too fiddly. But I've done quite a lot of the second poster, which, of course, once I've done that, I'll send you a copy of that as well, and we'll feature on the show. So, Martin, thank you again. It's been great. Yeah. We'll be back soon, and then I suppose actually when we come back. We might be near the end of Strange New Worlds season 2, so we might have to do a series from the series 2, season 2 review of that.
Yes.
Although it might not be quite done by then. So, that'll be soon when we come back, which should be good. So, anything else before we wrap up, Martin?
No, that's it. I will see everybody in a couple of weeks. I will be releasing the odd video in 3 weeks, but apart from that, it's. I'll see most people in August. I guess I've got some other projects and things in my personal life to focus on, so it's going to be good. Yeah. And I want the sun to come out, and I want blue skies, and I want to sit on a bench, and I'd like to get a train to go somewhere. If I can
you want to go down to somewhere like Eastbourne, go somewhere sunny?
Well, I do. I want to sit on the beach, but obviously with train strikes.
Is that still going on? Is it? I don't know much about trains at the moment.
Well, we've got 3 days next week, I think.
Oh God! Well, maybe when we come back, it'll all be sorted out.
I'm not going to get political about it. It's they have it's their right to strike, so fair enough. It's just. I'd like to just go sit by the fucking sea.
Well, why not? I mean, I
can't even do that now.
Well, yeah, I know.
Shit, isn't it?
Well, I'm lucky. I can just walk outside. I'm right by the sea, so I'm not complaining. But I know exactly what you mean. So,
Well, you can't. Eastbourne, apparently closed them at beach. Well, the one at beach has got closed up,
Why?
because of pollution. Yeah, pollution.
Yeah, but there is pollution aspects down here which we hear about as well, unfortunately. But apparently they are saying in the future they're going to spend a lot of money on making the seas and beaches a bit more
You
cleaner.
mean we're going to spend a lot of money?
Well,
paying
yeah,
for
we're going to
those?
pay out of the tax bit, exactly. So that's it, more bills. Anyway, we're not going to go on about that.
No, we're a science fiction channel.
Yes,
we
we're
don't do
not moaning
politics.
about. We're not a political channel. There's plenty of that
No,
out there. So,
no.
Martin, thank you very much. We'll catch you next
Yes.
time to Life Immortal.
To life immortal, yes. to
I
life
remembered.
immortal.
Thank you very much, Martin. Catch you
Live
next
long
time.
and fucking prosper.
Fuck me. Yeah. Not literally.
Planto, have we reached warp speed?
10 minus 10 seconds.
Good. So we should be docking at Deimos in 5 parsecs?
Accumulating spec light now.
Good. Planto?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't going to mention this, but, your head's covered in lumps. Yeah, it's gone all brown and it's covered in lumps.
Has anyone else noticed this? Any member of the crew?
Well, it's a bit hard to miss, you know.
Bastards! And they would have let me go all day looking like this. You have a mirror.
Yeah, sure.
Jesus. What do I look like?
You look like you've dipped your head in a bucket of shit.
No, I didn't do that.
Maybe it's an allergy.
Oh, God, I look ridiculous. And I'm taking Tracy out tonight. I hope it clears up by then.
Hi, Tracy.
Want anything from the shops?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a lion bar.
Sure. Clantor,
I'm fine, thanks.
what happened to your head?